Hello crafters, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a die cut Christmas card idea to share created using very basic dies or die shapes. Now I often like to take parts of a die set and use them differently. Today's card is a great example of how you can use just a small part of any die set and create a completely different card. All supplies I'm using for this project are listed and linked in the video description below for your convenience. Earlier this year, I shared a Christmas card with a girl holding a stack of gifts. There's a video for that project. You can check it out by clicking the link in the cards. I had fun making that card. The girl is super cute and makes for a fun element and focal point for a project. But what really caught my eye in that die set, and that die set is called Shopping Sprees from Spellbinders, there is a die to create little gifts. Now, it's just a bunch of different sized rectangles and also one square, but it was also accompanied by a die to create a ribbon and a bow. Very clever, and that inspired me to create the card that I'm sharing today. My idea was to create a background covered with beautiful little gifts. I wanted to have a pretty foiled sentiment in the center of my card, so I started by foiling a sentiment. I foiled one that reads, "Family and friends are the true gifts of Christmas." My foiling was done on Spellbinders specialty glimmer cardstock. It foils like butter, and I used a regular gold foil from Spellbinders. The glimmer plate, the sentiment glimmer plate, is also from Spellbinders, and you can see how beautifully that sentiment shines in the light. If you don't have a hot foil machine, you can do a heat emboss sentiment in the center of the panel. It would look just as nice. Or you can ask Santa to bring you a glimmer for Christmas. That would make an amazing gift. Next, I did all of my die cutting. I picked a color combo for this card. I wanted to use pastel colors, so I went with Spellbinders Alabaster, Spellbinders Glacier, Hero Arts, Peony, and Tonic Studios Rose Gold cardstock. I also used gold glitter paper from Simon Says Stamp. I die cut all of the gifts from Alabaster, Glacier, and Peony, and then use just the alabaster for the flowers. This die set comes with cute little flower dies, and they make perfect embellishments for the gifts. I find I like to shape the flowers slightly by using a medium-sized stylus and my tool-in-one. So I place the flower die cut onto a surface with a little bit of give, such as a pencil eraser, and then I just press into the center of the flower with the stylus. This lifts up the petals and adds beautiful dimension. The die cut no longer looks flat. It looks very, lifelike, I guess. A card like this will have a lot of dimension once finished and would be best if hand delivered. Now you can keep your flowers single layered, but I like to layer an offset to create a fuller flower. So I use 2 die cuts for each. You'll notice that I also die cut some leaves, and these were included in this die set, and I cut mine from green cardstock. Just a little pop of green is a nice touch for a holiday project. Now, the best part about this die set is a die to cut ribbon. It is so clever, and it is what makes your little paper gifts look unique. So you have one long skinny piece that works for every gift size because you can trim it to size. And then you have a bow and little bow ends giving you various assembly options for these die cuts. It is one of those sets you'll need to use tools to assemble the pieces. The pieces are very small, and I'm using my Crystal Katana tool and Spellbinders tweezers to shape the leaves and adhere in place, and also the Crystal Katana to pick up the little pieces and position them where needed. Now, when it comes to a skinny ribbon piece, you can add it any way you want, any way you would tie ribbon on an actual gift. And you can have it go across or diagonally, or you can skip adding ribbon and just add a bow. I spent a bit of time fussing with the little gifts, and once I had enough gifts, I placed them on my foiled panel, filling the space around the sentiment. Now, each gift has some foam squares behind it, as I wanted the gifts to be popped up on the card. I don't like things to lay flat on my projects. I did not add embellishments to every single gift. I felt that would be too much, Instead, I did everything in moderation. So some gifts have ribbon and a bow, some gifts have a flower, and then some gifts have just the ribbon, and a few gifts have nothing on top of them. I opted to adhere the gifts at a slight angle. I did not want to have them positioned perfectly straight on the card because I knew I probably wouldn't be able to position them all straight. One gift or a few gifts would have ended up positioned crooked, and that would not have looked good on the finished project. So I opted to position them at a slight angle. The panel that I'm adding the gifts to was cut slightly smaller than an A2 card base. I think it was cut to 4 by 5¼ inches, as I wanted to foam mount it onto an A2 white card. So you can see I'm already having lots of dimensional layers on this project. You can also cut gifts from patterned paper if you wanted to. This die is fantastic for that. If you have 6x6 pattern paper in your stash, that paper would work beautifully. You would want to use paper with small prints to resemble wrapping paper. And I've actually done that for one of my cards this year. Now, if you don't have this die set in your stash, or if you don't have a similar die set, you could actually recreate this card without the dies. You can easily cut rectangles using scissors or a paper trimmer, and then use some nice thread, maybe embroidery thread or like some DMC gold or some other metallic color thread to tie some ribbon around the gifts. Now, I also added some pretty gems. I used Spellbinder's gems in silver, and I adhered those onto the flower centers and also onto some of the gifts. I encourage you to look at your die sets in a different way. See if there's a smaller die within a bigger set that you could use all by itself to create a different type of card or a different type of look. Thanks so much for joining me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time.